in Utrecht, so all of the residents from the whole country come there, and the way they are trained is a small theoretical part, but mainly it's a practical training. As I said, it's a scenario training in which actors imitate acute situations. And this training is rated very highly among the residents. It's a very effective and also a fun way to learn. Now the residents are taught the ABCDE system. This is the same system that is used by the ambulance personnel in the ERs in the hospitals. And the idea is that you treat first what kills first. Now I will go through it quickly, and it cannot be complete here, and it's absolutely not the aim of this talk to teach you the ABCDE system. The only aim of this talk is to show you how and in what we train our residents. So the residents are taught to carefully go through all the letters, and within each letter they use the look, listen and feel system, followed by a measurement and an intervention when needed. I will go through with you. So the A stands for airway. So you make sure the airway is open. B stands for breathing. So I will use that as an example for the look, listen, feel method. So if you look at a patient in the B, you can see a gasping patient or a cyanotic patient. If you listen, you use your stethoscope, so you can hear wheezing breath sounds or no breath sounds. If you feel, you can feel the thoracic excursions. You can feel for perhaps a rib fracture or subcutaneous emphysema. And if you measure, of course, you measure the saturation, or you measure the frequency of the breathing. And as an intervention, you can give oxygen or nebulize the patient. When you secure the B, you can go to the C, in which the blood pressure is measured, and the pulse, the capillary refill. The D stands for disability. So it's the Glasgow Coma Scale, the glucose, and other things. And the E is for environment. For example, the temperature. I would like to do a little quiz with the audience. Would everybody stand up, please? Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'm just curious, who in this audience is a GP? So, if you are not, please sit down. Okay, so we have a lot of GPs standing up. Now, who of the GPs that are standing up feels familiar handling acute medical situations? And if you don't, please sit down, don't be ashamed. Okay. Now, of these GPs that are very familiar with emergency situations, who uses the ABCDE system? If you don't, please sit down. Okay. Now this last question will be a lucky shot. Who of these ABCDE doctors has helped an emergency patient in the airplane this week, for example, flying over to Bratislava? If you have not, please sit down. So, I have a lucky shot. Would you please come over? I would just like to ask you something. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Hi. Yeah, please come over. Could you stand by me? Here? This is about the ABCD method. Could you tell the audience what happened in the airplane?
Yes.
Please talk.
Sorry. You'll be talking to my
I was in a plane, and the person asked me if I could help. So I said, of course. And I walked with him to towards the restrooms. And there I saw this woman. Sorry.
I overwhelmed you.
Sorry.
Just take your time. It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry, please go on. We're really here.
Just a second. Just a second. This is not. Let me get a chair for her. Just a second.
Sit over here. Sit over here. Okay. You want to go back?
We might just need a little hand. Antonia, you're my colleague who's calling Medica. Could you please come over and help her? She's not feeling well. Okay, so she doesn't feel very well. She's not able to go back to the audience. So my colleague Antonia, who's actually very familiar with the ABCDE system, can now show you live what it's like. So she has a medical bag that is that has all the appliances, and she will be able to find it quickly. So as you see, she will now start with the A. She's going to look, listen, and feel. She will look in the airway and see if her airway is secured. If it's open, yes, it's open. C-spine seems to be okay. So now she will go on to the B. Okay. Wow, she's really not well. So she's going to look at her, and she sees a very fast breathing, gasping patient. Yeah, she seems to collapse a little bit. Okay, my guess is she's going to listen now. So she looked, now she's going to listen. She's going to listen to the breath sounds. Okay. I don't think she hears anything. She hears normal breath sounds on both sides. Okay, she's going to feel now. Feel the thoracic excursions. They seem to be symmetric. Okay, and she will do a measurement now. So she uses the saturation meter. Yeah. Okay, and she will count the breathing. Okay. So her sat seems to be low, right? It's about 89%. Yeah.
84%.
84%. Okay. So she has a set of 84%, and her breathing frequency must be at least about 30. Yeah. Okay. So she needs an intervention in the B now. So she will get some oxygen. Okay. Thank you very much, Antonia. Okay. Yeah, you could put it on. So she secured the B now, so she will quickly go on to the C. So she looks at the patient. And she's, oh my, okay. Okay, you can lie down, maybe that's easier. So she sees a patient that's pale, that's sweating very hard, is not able to sit down anymore. And now she's going to listen. She's going to use her stethoscope and listen to the heart. She uses this very systematic method. You don't do anything else. Okay, so she hears very fast heart tones, no other problems. And she feels, okay, her hands are very cold, sweaty. And then she must measure her blood pressure very quickly. Okay, she seems to get worse, yeah. Okay. Okay, Antonia, can you give me the blood pressure, please? Okay. Okay. 90 over 60 and her pulse is the last thing I would like to know. You can see it on the set. Okay. Oh, it's about 160. Okay, Antonia, is this patient in shock?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely in shock.
I
Okay.
need some help.
Lady, you're from Schola Medica. Would you please call an ambulance? Tell them we have a patient with a problem in the sea. She is in shock and we need an ambulance as fast as possible, please. Okay, thank you. I don't know what's happening with this.
We have 2 minutes before the patient dies.
I'm sorry about this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you might have guessed, Natalie is one of our actors that we use in the scenario training sessions in Utrecht. And this was just a short demonstration to show you how we train our residents. This is how the training, the scenario training looks like. Now, why is... Now, why is this scenario training with actors so much more effective and fun than training with dolls? As you can see, the residents can experience the tension and the stress like it were a real emergency situation. Also, they can look, listen and feel as with real patients. Also, they can do a real medical examinations. The actors can actually imitate much more than you would think. We even have a scenario where we play a pneumothorax and they can play or imitate decreased breath sounds on one side. And actually the simulation patient will react to their intervention. They are trained, they know what to do when an intervention is done. And last, when the scenario training is finished, the actor can give feedback on the behavior and the communication of the resident that's doing the scenario. I've come to the end of this presentation. So to summarize, once again, the importance of uniformity in emergency care throughout the whole chain, including the primary care. Everybody should speak the same language. The importance of a systematic approach of acute situations. Everybody in the chain uses the same ABCDE method. And last, scenario training of our residents in the ABCDE system is a very effective way to do so. Thank you very much for your interest and attention.
Thank you, Antonia, for this presentation. So, any questions?
Phil Grant from Australia. I'm very interested in this idea of the uniformity of information at the handover, and it's something that we really push big time in Australia, both in the medical schools and for postgraduate trainees. We do it slightly differently in that the ABCDE is embedded in another tool which you're probably familiar with the SBAR tool, or in Australia we use ISBAR, the I being for identification. So you would start by identifying yourself, who I am, where I'm ringing from, who are you, who am I talking to, and then there's the SBAR, which is used in, I think comes from the North American military, it's used in USA and Britain. So I was just wondering whether you were using the ABCD embedded in another tool to talk about things like who's calling, situation, background, just as you did here, or are you using the ABCDE as if it is a full summary of the situation?
Okay. So your question is, do we transfer using the ABCDE method or using the SBAR? Actually, we do use the SBAR, and we also teach the residents to use the SBAR, but I couldn't put that in this presentation, so I just used the word systematic transfer, but I totally agree, yeah.
Any more questions?
Thank you very much. We also train our residents in Spain, but we also are trained from time to time. We are GPs by the emergency department. Do you have any also in the Netherlands, any training for GPs from time to time, not only for residents but also for GPs?
Yeah, the question is if the GPs are also trained, so not only the residents. Most GPs do their shifts in the huisartsenposten, so I forgot the English word, the clinics. And these days the clinics do require a reassessment of the ABCDE training once in a while. Yeah, it's not done by the emergency department, but it's done by the out of our clinics.